as well as from your essay. So that's the idea here today. So that you get feedback as well as questions from your essay also. Okay, so that's what we do. We first do the concepts and then we'll write an essay. Let's stay with you, which hopefully will help you. Right? If you have any questions, you can ask me anytime during the session. Raise your hand and ask me whenever you have a question on any part of the essay. Okay, so simple things first. The WAT, I'm sure you know, a lot of institutes have it. A lot of institutes will give you anywhere between 10 minutes to 45 minutes to write an essay. Correspondingly, there is a word limit as well. So anywhere between a 100-word essay to a 500, 600-word essay. But word essay to a 500, 600-word essay. But typically, most institutes give you about 20 odd minutes and a 250-word, 300-word kind of an essay is there. Right? So it's about a page and a half in terms of space. You don't need to count your words, but one A4 size sheet plus half on the other side, that's about half on the other side, that's about 300 words. Most people's handwriting. Okay, so that's what we're talking about. Page and a half. Topics on essays typically could be any of three. One is factual topics. The topic is clear, it is specific, it tells you what you are expected to write on. For example, specific, it tells you what you are expected to write on. For example, Indian demographics, dividend or disaster. So I'm sure everybody has heard of the term demographic dividend. Anybody who has no idea what is demographic dividend? Yes, everybody knows, right? So demographics की बात हो रही है. The topic is asking you to tell, write about whether demographics are actually a dividend or it is a big problem for the country. So you need to write an essay of 300 words on this. It could be a topic, it's specific, it tells you what you are expected to write about. Right, so that would be your essay topic. Or for example, the topic would be on social media. Okay? Or for example, the topic would be on social media. We were just discussing outside with one of the students on social media. Right, so for example, Australia banned social media for teenagers last year. So the topic could range around this, that, should India follow suit? Should India apply a similar ban or restriction for teenagers? The topic could be spaced around this. It could be regarding any aspect of current affairs, solutions to Manipur. Right? If, for example, you are the Human Resource Development Minister in the Haryana, Human Resource Development Minister in the Haryana state government, how would you ensure that the influence of khap panchayats is minimized in the state? Is the topic asked. Right? So the topic could be from any area, static GK, current affairs. It is factual in the sense it tells you what you are expecting. It is factual in the sense it tells you what you are expected to write. Right? The relevance of MBA in 2026. Is MBA relevant at all? Is it losing its relevance? In an age and time where corporates talk about employability rather than degrees. In an age and time where AI is taking over so many jobs, so many different skill sets. So what is the relevance of MBA in 2026? Specific topic tells you what you are expected to write. आता है नहीं आता वो अलग बात है. But topic से ये समझ आ रहा है that what you are expected to write. So this is a factual topic. On the other hand, expected to write. So this is a factual topic. On the other hand, if I were to say to you, Control Alt Delete means, right? A desktop computer or a laptop. What does Control Alt Del do? It's a complete reset. A complete reset of the system. So something that you're not familiar with, given that you're using tabs and phones. So let's take another example. Let's say the topic is 300 words लिखने इसमें. Doesn't mean you write about the book or the movie, not necessarily. can be asked to write about this. And so this is an abstract topic. You could write about the book, you could write about the movie, you could write about your own life, you could write about philosophy, you could write about anything. It is open to your interpretation, it's an abstract topic. Right? And so a topic which does not tell you exactly what you're supposed to write can be there. It is open to interpretation, it is vague in terms of what it means. You can decide. So abstract topics. And third is a case study based essay, where you are given a problem situation, a case material, there's a problem in the case, and you have to solve it through your essay, present your solution in your essay, right? 3 types of topics for a MAT: factual, abstract, and case-based. Case-based topics could be again real-life problems. So, for example, a case study could come regarding the gig workers of Zomato and Swiggy. They could give you a newspaper article. आप क्या करते हैं? Could be regarding the Indus water dispute. You are part of the UN dispute resolution committee, or you are part of that dispute committee at the ICC. तो बांग्लादेश वाले आए रोते हुए तो क्या करना है? Right, regarding the participation in the World Cup. You are part of the dispute resolution committee. You are an independent body. On one side is the ICC, Mr. Jay Shah, and one side is the Bangladesh Cricket Board. How would you resolve this dispute? Real life problem situation. Right? Your essay is to be the solution. It could be a hypothetical case also. A hypothetical scenario can be created, a hypothetical problem can be created. Again, you are required to solve that problem. So, एक 3 type के.
2 minutes.
Sure.
RM Bansal, Gurpreet Singh, Jasween Kaur, Laisha, Abhinav Sharma, others.
These are the students who are proceeding for the interview. After you're done, come back and write your essay topic. Once you're done with the interview, come back.
Tanish. Ajay. Yeah, with your resume.
So 3 टाइप के टॉपिक्स क्लियर हो गए. अभी हम चलेंगे असेसमेंट पैरामीटर्स पे. What is your essay judged on? Again, there are 3 parameters which any panel will look at. Is the content. Especially think about a factual essay. The topic is into GK or current affairs. Of course, I'm checking the depth of your content. Of course, my objective is to check how much you know about that topic. So any content knowledge means your knowledge about the facts of that topic, your knowledge about the statistics of that topic. Like I was asking her, tell me the numbers. Tell me the numbers. If you tell me the numbers, you stand out. Otherwise, you're just one of the herd. You're one of everybody else. Most people don't know the numbers. But if you do, you stand out. Right? So statistics, facts, and opinions. Pros and cons. Pros and cons. Pros and cons. Every topic when you read, every topic when you research on, try to look at both sides of the story. That's why I asked her that what is the to such a right to disconnect bill? कुछ तो negatives भी होंगे, कुछ तो होंगे issues या कोई situation जहाँ पे ये चीज abeyance में रखनी पड़ेगी. So you must have that opinion as well कि ये किस situations में सही नहीं है. You must have that mindset. Look at every topic from both perspectives. Every topic will have pluses and minuses. So that is, every content must have facts, must have statistics, must have opinions, pros and cons. Everything you must know. All these, any topic that you research. मैंने आपको मणिपुर का एग्जाम्पल दिया, या सुबह में ग्रीनलैंड की बात कर रहा था, उससे पहले वेनेजुएला हुआ, उससे पहले आप देखेंगे तो इंडियन इकोनॉमी की बात हो रही थी. So every topic should RBI raise or reduce interest rates in the Fed 5 policy, pros and cons, or make an allocation or a budgetary allocation towards AI, pros and cons. Should space research funding, you should know. An analytical person does analysis. Analysis means looks at both sides, right? So that is content. Assessment parameter number 1. You're going to be assessed on the depth of your content skill. You're going to be assessed on basic school level things like legibility of handwriting, overwriting and cutting, spelling mistakes, punctuation errors, grammatical errors. इनके number कटेंगे WAT में. lot of these institutes still have offline WATs. Some are online, but a lot of them are still offline. So offline में ये सब गलतियां होती हैं. So writing skill के number कटते हैं. And third thing I judge you on is a structure. That whether, so a lot of us what happens is when we think putting it down into paper is a completely different challenge. कौन सी चीज कहाँ लिखनी है, किस तरीके से उसको एक flowing form में बनाना है. That is what I judge you on in an essay. Right? So I will judge you on content, I will judge you on your writing skill, and I will judge you on your structure of your essay. Thumb rule, basic thumb rule which you can apply to most essays. Essay should be structured in 3 distinct parts. One introduction paragraph, one conclusion paragraph, and 2 to 3 paragraphs in the middle called the body. One introduction paragraph, 30, 40, 50 words. One conclusion paragraph, 30, 40, 50 words. And 150 odd words in the middle, 150 to 200 words in the middle. That is 2 to 3 paragraphs in the middle. That is where your analysis and content comes. Your statistics, your facts. So paragraph form में से लिखना है हमेशा, not in bullet points, not in rhetorics नहीं use करने कोई should India have this, ऐसा नहीं बोलना. ऐसे में क्यों लिखना है ऐसा? Don't write rhetorics. You are supposed to write an analytical piece, not a rhetorical piece. ठीक है? So no rhetorics, no bullet points, nothing. Paragraph based essay. That is the basic structure you should follow for most essays. Okay? So introduction paragraph is generally a definition or an explanation of the topic. So for example, if the topic is about something to do with cryptocurrency or blockchain technologies, you could start by defining and explaining what these technologies are. Or you can explain the current context of the topic. Right? The current context of the topic can be explained in the introduction paragraph. The body is where you do the analysis. The body is where you do the pros and cons. 2 paragraphs है body में, तो 1 paragraph pros, 1 paragraph cons. या फिर जैसे सुबह आपने देखा सर जब बात कर रहे थे, संदीप सर, he was talking about stakeholders. So you can assess the topic or analyze the topic from the perspective of different stakeholders. One paragraph, one stakeholder, second paragraph, second, third paragraph, third. Right? So that would be in any form. It could be a pros and cons analysis, it could be a stakeholder form. It could be a pros and cons analysis, it could be a stakeholder analysis, your choice. And conclusion is, of course, where you give your opinion in a third person format. Therefore, it can be concluded that, or not, therefore, I feel. Analysis के बाद answer. Analysis पहले कितनी गाड़ी है, बाद में नंबर कितनी गाड़ी है. राइट. सो पहले एनालिसिस, पहले बताइए कि आप एनालिसिस तक पहुंचने के लिए क्या क्या चीजें कंसीडर कर रहे हो, क्या क्या कैलकुलेशन कर रहे हो, क्या क्या कैलकुलेशन कर रहे हो, क्या क्या पर्सपेक्टिव से देख रहे हो, क्या क्या आपके इन द बॉडी. कंक्लूजन में टेक अ टॉपिक, गिव अस 20 minutes, राइट अ 1.5 page essay. टेक अ टॉपिक, गिव अस 20 minutes, राइट अ 1.5 page essay. Most of you already have been assigned mentors. Those of you who have just come in today will be assigned mentors. Go and show your essay to your mentor, like you'll be doing today in the panel. Take a feedback. You don't need me to sit on top of your head when you're writing the essay itself. So essay writing is basically thinking about everything, even if you prepare for the next 20 years. So content बनते बनते बनता है. It happens gradually. But writing skill, which is handwriting, punctuation, cuttings, overwriting, spelling mistakes, these you should not screw up from day one. Similarly, structure जो मैंने day one, writing skill and structure is a function of practice. How many mock essays do you write? So it is 6 marks out of 10. Give me an example of a topic like this, something that you have heard about but you know very little about.
If I'm asked about the Venezuelan opposition party, that the president comes with her own Nobel Prize.
Correct.
That's the only piece of information that.
Okay. Venezuelan opposition leader के बारे में, Venezuelan opposition leader के बारे में, Nobel Peace Prize के बारे में, just write generic stuff. Nobel Peace Prize is generally awarded for achievements in propagating peace initiatives throughout the world. Leaders have, there have been leaders who have achieved this And the objective of giving this to Donald Trump was that he propagates peace and prosperity in Venezuela. It is a great initiative in terms of a gesture and human peace thinking. Instead of giving statistics, we should go on, thinking about or stressing out facts and numbers and examples. It's okay. Generic essay में 6 से 7 नंबर आ जाएंगे, 9 नहीं आएंगे, 10 नहीं आएंगे, 8 नहीं आएंगे, but 6 नंबर कहीं नहीं आएंगे. That's the objective, right? Generic. Why? What are the benefits of giving this Nobel Peace Prize to Donald Trump? What would it help? It's a gesture. It's like a peace offering. It's saying that okay, please consider Venezuela as your baby and then treat us kindly. So that's what she's doing, right? She's actually buttering up to Trump and saying, "Do good things for Venezuela." So write that kind of generic stuff. आपको ज़्यादा नहीं पता, statistics मत लिखो, उसके बारे में छोड़ो. But ये composure जो है ना, that can happen, right?
Let's say we opinionated or polarized, or does it have to be different?
So there are topics where you are supposed to take a stand, you're supposed to give your opinion, and in such cases, many students are afraid that if they take a stand, give their opinion, it may become a problem, it may become a controversy during the interview. Well, like I've been saying in my classes, point number 1, you have to give an opinion. For this clear, don't leave the question unanswered. In the end of the essay, in the conclusion paragraph, definitely do give your answer. So, should social media be banned for teenagers in India? Yes or no, or the third answer could be under certain conditions. Any of these three is an answer. So the first point is not giving any answer, any of these three is a problem. For the fear that fake personality. So not giving an answer is out. Any of these three answers, yes, which is extreme, a no, which is extreme, or the middle answer, which is under certain conditions, valid. Any of these answers is fine as long as it is not an instinctual answer, it is not a gut answer, it is not an emotional answer. It has to be driven by facts, numbers and information on research. अगर आपका आंसर इन तीनों में से कुछ भी है based on facts, absolutely fine. अगर आप just based on emotion, absolutely problem. You are taking the middle ground just to be safe. You have no logic behind it. Again, it's going to be a problem. So research, facts driven answer, anyone is fine. Extreme, non-extreme doesn't matter. Right? So whether social media should be banned or it should not be banned or it should be allowed under certain conditions, all three are fine. But give this answer. Don't leave it hanging. So कई students emotional answer देते हैं without facts. ये आंसर होना चाहिए बट मेरे पास क्या मतलब I don't have data to support this. या फिर आंसर देते ही नहीं है. या फिर gate is a problem. So one of these two things happens often. So far okay? So far clear? So what I want to do is I want to give you a topic and I want you to write about this 25 minutes. I'll give you 5 minutes extra. Many of you are doing this for the first time. You have a blank sheet in your fingers. Please take it out. Blank sheet. Yes, please. Show it to me and I'll tell you the right one. Yeah, the one which you have here. Correct. This one. So this is a page and a half. Half a page on the front and one full page on the back. So this is a space for about 300 words. Plus minus a little bit. So use this as the space given. Don't write in the corners or at the bottom. This is your space. Little bit less, 3-4 line count is fine. Okay. I'll give you 25 minutes. I'll give you your topic. Try to adhere to my assessment point 2 and 3. That is, don't screw up on your writing skills and don't screw up on the structure. Content kitna aata hai, wo aap dekhiye. Once you are done writing this, I will also give you my essay on the same topic. The one which I have written on the same topic, I give it to you after this. Tell me when you're ready. Everybody ready? Anybody still searching? Still searching? Okay. So your topic. Please write down relevance of UN in today's multipolar world. Relevance of UN in today's multipolar world. 25 minutes. Everybody? Anybody wants to explain the topic? Please explain this to me. You can probably explain it well. You don't have one? Okay, sir, extra sheet hai? One student doesn't have it. The black sheet. You say go and take it. Take it from another school. Relevance of UN in today's multipolar world.
The blank sheet.
Some of you would have heard in the last few days, Board of Peace. Board of Peace की धागे चल रही हैं. Then there have been news regarding Venezuela, regarding England. Of course, Israel has been going on for a long time. Ukraine has been going on for a long time. How is the UN placed today as its key objectives and its relevance in today's world? Think about it. 25 minutes. Anybody faces any problem, you can always ask. You can use any graph paper that you want.
Good know. Bhavini,
Those of you who are going now can get bunch of that.
Kanav, Manjeet, and Kashish. Simran, Anjali, and Udogi.
if you don't know too much about the topic, if you haven't read too much about this, try to, number one, don't screw up on the writing skill and the structure. And number two, in terms of content, try to write a shallow essay. Try to think in the body. Can I think of pros and cons of the UN? That could be 2 paragraphs. Or I could think of UN's stakeholders and then think, okay, 1 paragraph for stakeholder 1, 1 paragraph for stakeholder 2, 1 for stakeholder 3. So maybe I can look at the impact on UN on different stakeholders and then form 3 paragraphs there. So try to think without the statistics, without the examples, how can you best form this?
जो स्टूडेंट्स अभी इंटरव्यू दे के आए हैं एक बार
People have already taken the interview. 5x to 1. We should be reaching near the conclusion paragraph by now. Try to keep the last 1 or 2 minutes for a review of your essay. Just read it once at the end. Last 30 seconds, those of you are still writing. Last 30 seconds. Yes, guys. Questions, problems, anything you want to ask me at this stage. I'm going to give you the sample for this essay after this, but first I want to hear from you. Any problems? Any questions? What?
Sometimes like sourcing for the degree of the beginning calling the like
So this happened here.
yes,
So what did you think about it? What did you write?
like just in a case I'm like writing about the topic about the US.
but I mentioned like some other countries.
Some other countries.
Yes, of the complete like of the US and England. During the time like dialogue from the topic.
And why did that happen?
Like, I'm looking around.
So your question is, what do you do in that situation?
Yes,
Do I do the overwriting or the cutting? Is that what your question is?
yes,
So two perspectives. One, yes, in that case, if there is a glaring error, if there is a error, then yes, to do overwriting and cutting. That case, it's a trade-off. Okay. Second point, ये क्यों होता है? ये इसलिए होता है because जैसे हम शुरू में बात कर रहे थे, there is a rough space you should use. Every process will give you rough space, a paper or a notepad or something, and then you use that time. आपने देखा होगा अभी, most of you had finished or were about to finish when I said 5 minutes left. And so you have enough time to write an essay in almost every business school. The time is more than the requirement to fill a 300-word essay. And so there is definitely one advantage of practicing multiple WATs is you will get to know your hand speed. आपका अपना hand speed आपको मालूम चल जाएगा कि मुझे अगर 1.5 पेज लिखना है and I have thoughts in my head. Do I take 6 minutes, 8 minutes, 10 minutes, 12 minutes? How much do I take on an average? ये आपको खुद के लिए खुद ढूंढना पड़ेगा. Once you know that, you work backwards in terms of how much time do I have before I have to start writing. Compose your thoughts. The more thoughts you have, the more rough bullet points you have, the lesser this will happen. So do that. Figure out your hand speed. Figure out how much time it takes to write the given word limit, and then work backwards in terms of time given. You get to know कि अगर लास्ट में 1 मिनट छोड़ना है, 8-9 मिनट मुझे लगते हैं 300 वर्ड लिखने में, so I have 20 minutes. That means I have put 7-8 minutes easily in the beginning before I have to start it. Use that time. That is actually the most important time. The first 5 minutes, 6 minutes which you spend writing, अगर cutting कम होगा, बाद में thoughts कम आएंगे, it will be in a more flowing way. You will have to picturize कि कहाँ चीज कौन सी डालनी. So that is a very critical thing. You have to figure out for yourself how much time you take in your speed to write, let's say, 250 to 300 words. That figure out for yourself.
and for the intro part, like we have to do the homework will order, for example, the starting of the event, like after the word.
Depends on the topic. So in this case, the topic is relevance of the UN in today's multipolar world. If you have limited knowledge about that and you are using it as a filler, then write the historical chronological events. But if you have good knowledge, then this is not very relevant to the topic. हिस्ट्री में यूएन ने क्या किया, 1945 में फॉर्म हुआ, उसके बाद क्या किया, वॉर स्टॉप हुए, very limited relevance to today. They mention it briefly. I have also mentioned it briefly in my essay, but that's just 1 or 2 lines. That is not the crux of what the topic is asking. Okay? So again, so if it is that the case that आपको ज़्यादा knowledge नहीं है, तो उससे फिर आप paragraph भी भर लो, just to as a filler kind of. Depends. Yes, anybody else? Any question? ठीक है, so like I said, please, those of you who are going to go now for interviews, please carry it with you and give it to the panel along with your resume. I am handing out the sample first. Extra copies you can give back.
Like in this particular example, like firstly, can we intro part, can we explain like what is UN and what is objective?
So, okay. Objective, yes. What is UN not clear. So the objective why it was formed. What is its charter? Yes. Because obviously उसके charter से relevance, उसके जो key objectives थे जब वो बना था, उससे आज relevance है कि नहीं. So yes, objectives yes, but not what is UN. United Nations, so and so. मतलब उसका कोई perspective नहीं. UN is supposed to be self-explanatory. UN क्या चाहिए? Objectives yes. UN के objectives क्या है? Yes. That should be there. Extra copies you can give back. Anybody has? No. Can speak honestly. It is a real live 2 days ago information. Okay, so I want you to think what would you write in your essay regarding. Okay, so just read it, take one and pass. Take one and pass. Assuming that you are again given the same time limit, 20 minutes, 250, 300 words, what would you write in the introduction? What would you write in the body? What would you write in the conclusion? Think about that. We'll discuss it in a couple of minutes. Those of you who are aspiring for consulting careers, this is a consulting case study.
राहुल
ये आइडियल एस्टे में मेरे को पता है नंबर्स, अगर आपको नहीं है तो जैसे मैंने कहा अगर नहीं है कंटेंट तो इसके नंबर्स के बिना इस एस्टे को देखो. लुक एट द स्ट्रक्चर ऑफ द एस्टे, लुक एट द नॉन नंबर कंटेंट. ऑफ कोर्स उसका मतलब कुछ नहीं है, इसका नंबर है तो अच्छी बात है, नहीं है तो
जैस्मिन
फिर बाकी चीजों में डेवलपमेंट that's something which it's not really a question. Any extra copies here? Extra copies this one.
राघव
So read it quickly, guys. I'll give you a couple of minutes to think and then we'll talk.
पीयूष विधान जशन शाश्वती
Any term you don't understand, you can ask before we. Done, बढ़िया. Anybody wants to volunteer what their essay will look like? What would be your introduction paragraph? What would be there in the body? What would be there in the conclusion? Anybody? This is a news article from a couple of days ago.
Identify the problem with the problem and what is the difference between why we are doing increasing its data versus choosing the same.
So that would be introduction paragraph, first paragraph. You would identify the problem, why Mercedes is losing market share and BMW is gaining. तो ये आप यही चीज लिखोगे कि we need to identify या फिर actually problem बताओगे introduction paragraph. तो प्रॉब्लम है क्या, बताओ क्या लिखोगे. why Mercedes is losing and BMW is gaining share. Tell me what you write in the introduction paragraph. Anybody needs time to think? Anybody? Anybody? While he's thinking. Yes, please.
We will choose value over word. So the strategy would be to choose voice over word. So Mercedes doesn't want to focus on generating more volume, it should focus on generating more quality, it should be way more present and proactive. Because with Mercedes, it is difficult to like, we even with the idea of 39 60 minutes required because which have Mercedes logo and nothing. So just like in case of Coca-Cola, it's very popular in Latin America, but it's very tough. So Mercedes needs to venture in key movement of the world.
Great, but this is an essay. Tell me where you would write this.
In the bottom.
In the bottom. So you start off with an introduction. What would be the starting point of an essay? How would you start? Let us complete.
Like the line by the management improves and related to what's happening today is like mentioning segment transfer and don't want to participate in that. Value over volume percent, which is
So this whole thing is your introduction paragraph.
they say you have to have a foot in the
So this whole verbatim quote
Yeah.
we write as an introduction paragraph. What's the purpose of doing that?
because it comes up what is going on.
That I know by reading the case only. Why do I need to write it by essay as well? Why do I use up 50 out of precious to 50 words? Don't you think it is repetitive? This, and you are given a specific word limit. It's उसमें से आप 1/5 use कर रहे हो just a repetition. Will that be a good idea? Okay, I come back. Anji.
Think about the Mercedes something about their vision that they prefer comfort over performance. And we from the starting enterprise level, taking of the class to present of any model, they have always been focused on comfort over performance, and that their customers should be curious when they try Mercedes. And even if you do
This information is from your own knowledge, not material in the case, right?
right.
So you will say that what is this called, by the way? What is this called in business terminology? What is this called?
The fact.
This is the positioning of the company. You heard of the word positioning? This is the positioning. It would help if you use business terminology like we were discussing in the morning also here. So the positioning of the company you will talk about, which is not mentioned here, but you know about. And then how would that lead to your model? So it's going to connect. You are saying comfort over
Comfort over performance.
performance is the motto or the positioning of Mercedes. Next, what would you say?
Continuing the present scenario, also with the case, the BMW has been promoted the car performance car.
And so you mean by performance value for money, right? Not wrong. What do you mean by performance?
Power of it.
So you talk about power output,
Right.
You know about power output.
Right.
How is that related to the question? or the other direction is absolutely fine, is that you say that this is not a price game at all. Mercedes, because the question is business strategy, you think price पे तो बात ही नहीं करेंगे. We are going to talk about comfort, and we are not going to focus on profit. That is my message to the customer. That's what I'm going to have. 5 minutes. 5 minutes. So I'm not going to talk about price at all, and I'm going to talk about comfort. That is my 2026 strategy. Is that you are going to talk about price?
We said about the recent customer psychology by which they are preferring BMW over Mercedes. So they are balancing out the both things, what customer wants and what the company wants to be able to do. Customer, if customer wants a performance, more of a performance car over a luxury one, over a comfort car. So we might go with a balance between both.
So your suggestion will be do research.
Right.
Yes, somebody else please. Yes, the lady at the second.
So, firstly, in the introductory paragraph, I will put both value and goal. That was clear during 2012 and 13. But it's maybe a decade after that. And now mostly has to choose value and volume market. Secondly, in your strategy, we see AMG vehicles started at 50%. So I feel that Mercedes should expand more on the AMG vehicles as well. EV vehicles follow 12% range. With the current market, Tesla is also on the market, and we should also focus more on EV vehicles as marketing.
Focus, what do you mean? So you're saying focus, what do you mean focus?
They should start building new models around EV.
Innovation. Not reducing price of these particular models.
No, not reducing price because mostly.
Because rightly was an introduction said refers to both.
Yes.
Focus on value and volume. So value means you will reduce price somewhere. You're saying to focus on both.
Value as well as what will be that we can provide value to the customers as well as volume to the customers.
Volume कैसे दोगे जब तक प्राइस रिड्यूस नहीं करोगे? प्राइस रिड्यूस कर रहा है तभी BMW का वॉल्यूम बढ़ता है. How do you focus on both without focusing on price?
Little bit price reduction would be there.
Take a position. That I was saying to him. Extreme stance, no problem, as long as you are not afraid to take a stand. If you want to reduce price, it's okay. Don't be hesitant about it. You should take a specific stance. It could be one extreme, it could be the other extreme, it could be in the middle, but be clear and very emphatic about your stance. Reduce करना है नहीं है clearly बताना है इससे. हाँ जी.
थोड़ा रिड्यूस करना, बहुत ज़्यादा रिड्यूस नहीं करना, जितना BMW ने किया है, but थोड़ा सा रिड्यूस करना है, so that
the interview might ask you later on that isn't that going to be a double problem because you've actually compromised your profitability and still maybe not as an impact because BMW is still lower because you're reducing, let's say they are 20% lower, you are reducing just 10%. So you are better than them.
But what I have understood is that we need to put it in the sense that there needs to be since we have asked for a comprehensive business strategy, so there must be a few short-term goals to manage the current scenario and a few long-term goals to look at the long-term aspect of it.
Okay, partly correct.
Yeah, so they should hold on to their value of luxury and not move into the price war as the paragraph says. So the problem currently that the reason they are losing market share in the entry level market, luxury car market is essentially for two reasons. One being that people from the entry level market into the A&B segments and into the upper segments, people from the entry level market into the A&B segments and into the, so that also shows on the balance. But essentially it could also mean that they are able to upsell the cars. Second thing, it could be secondly as they suggested that performance related cars because they are generally young buyers. So for in that case, essentially Mercedes can focus them in bringing them into the E&B segment because E&B is essentially Mercedes same car, but when they add E&B kits to it, it essentially becomes the performance related version of it. And in the long run, as we have seen that EVs are expanding, so in the future perspective, they must innovate in that.
That's why I said partly, because even though I would say something similar, I would, write in a similar sense, but the only thing is, if you look at the question, it says 2026. Yeah. So it has to be not a long-term strategy, but a long-term direction to take in 2026. You will start innovating or whatever you want to do in 2026. That is part of the 2026 plan. I'm not asking for a 2030 plan. The question says 2026. So 2026 means you will put out the fire that is currently there, plus you will search or innovation for the next 5 years, 10 years this year. So what is the long-term direction that you take is something that you can spell out. 2026 में आप long term के लिए क्या करो?
Essentially focusing on innovating towards
Whatever you say. हाँ जी.
For the information thing, for a EV electric car, we can substitute silver to copper. So in recent studies,
तुम्हें भी Greenland चाहिए. Greenland क्यों चाहिए? तुम्हें rare चाहिए. Rare copper सब Greenland से आ रहा.
it's substitute to silver for production of the car.
Share my. I know you have thoughts, but we have been told that we are out of time. Last 1 minute. Last one. There are 3 or 4 approaches which I think are equally fine to write this essay. The introduction, you to tell the panel and according to you, what is it that you understood as a problem in the case, right? So it could be the price war, that's the problem. It could be a positioning issue that, I think that the positioning of Mercedes is where the crux of the problem is and this needs to be changed. Or it could be that, these are not my concerns, I need to spell out business strategy overall for the company. So whatever you think needs to be addressed as part of the question needs to be there in the introduction paragraph. आपके हिसाब से mention paragraph. Then I've been saying this again and again in my case study based WATs. Spell out in the introduction paragraph. Index मतलब what is your analysis direction? Option 1. If you do that your problem is price, then your index is let us look at the pros and cons of reducing the price. One paragraph in body of pros, one paragraph in body of cons. That is your whole problem. Your index is pros and cons, body the pros, in your opinion, whether to be reduced or not. Option 2, stakeholders. Let us look at the decision of price reduction from the perspective of number 1, brand goodwill, number 2, financial impact, and number 3 could be volume impact. ये financial और volume अलग-अलग चीजें हैं. Financial is profitability. While volume is how many customers do you acquire? What is the estimate of number of customers you acquire by reducing the price? So volume impact, financial impact, customer goodwill impact. आप सोच के देखिए अगर आप price reduce करते हैं, there is a goodwill impact also, right? So again, now you have 3 body paragraphs. One talks about financial impact likely. Second talks about volume impact. Third talks about brand goodwill impact. Third option. Pricing को हटा दो. आपके हिसाब से pricing issue है ही नहीं. So then you talk about your overall business strategy for the company. One paragraph could be positioning ही होनी चाहिए. Second paragraph could be innovation में ये direction दो. Third paragraph could be let us look at competitors from the lens of enablers who are actually expanding the market. Somebody who is helping me grow the luxury market, not really as a competition as such. Because it's a nascent market, it's a space. So you look at competition from that end. So you are looking at this and saying my business strategy is narrow, not to look at pricing at all. In all cases, conclusion is your opinion about the business strategy. So in the immediate term, what should they do? As a forward future direction, what are the steps that 2026 should be taken? What should we do in terms of innovation? Which areas to focus on? What should we do in terms of research? What should we do in terms of positioning or branding? To know these terminologies of management. Simple terminologies, very complex is anything. What is branding? What is positioning? What is differentiation? How do you differentiate Mercedes from a BMW and Audi? No differentiator here. Sponsorship, like she talked about, right? So event sponsorships हो गया या collaborations हो गया, social media influencers, content creation for Mercedes. So now you're talking about other things than pricing. That could also be a shape of essay. So essay could be completely pricing based, it could be stakeholder based, or it could be different strategies, one from marketing, one from innovation, one from research. Could be that as well. It talks business strategy, it doesn't say solve the pricing problem. You are not restricted to pricing there at all. Last paragraph, according to you, what should be the business strategy? That's the conclusion paragraph of this system. Okay, so this is just to give you an idea of how business problems cases are written. Okay, so the idea is you need to form an essay around this. This is not, a discussion. So written form में कैसे लिखना